Hey there everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm the Game Thrifter, and as always, I'm back with another video. I'm constantly buying games. I'm out and about, hitting up yard sales, hitting up garage sales, thrift stores. I'm always on the lookout for a good deal for video games. Believe it or not, it's impossible to collect every video game. And so throughout my life, even though I've owned pretty much every console right when they came out, you know, there's still games that I go back and play for the first time, even in 2024, and that's the case with some of these games. I wanted to do a Hidden Gems video on PlayStation 3 that maybe other people hadn't done before, and you won't find stuff like The Last of Us or Uncharted or even Puppeteer in this video, but I hope my selections resonate with you guys somewhat and understand that we all have different opinions on what a hidden gem is or what a good game is. So let's just respect each other's opinion and kind of carry on with that. If you're new or if you're a subscriber, please like the video, share it out, and possibly even consider subscribing if you enjoy my content. Let's get started on this Hidden Gems video. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. I know that's a mouthful, but it gives Super Smash Bros. A run for its money. Don't believe me? Take a look. It's got a lot of the iconic PlayStation lineup of characters. Of course, people can always argue that it's missing some, and I agree to an extent, you know, like this game would have been better off if it would have had maybe Lara Croft, if it would have had Crash Bandicoot, if it would have had, you know, Spyro, some of the characters that are really well known for PlayStation back in the day. But I think with what they had, they made it work incredibly well. And this is a game that is actually on PlayStation 3 as well as the Vita. So I thought that was a really cool thing that they offered there. And I think it was even like a cross-buy situation where if you bought one, you got both. I doubt that's still the case anymore. But this is a fun game. It has a lot of character to it. It doesn't take long to pick up and play. I like that you can build up these superpowers very quickly. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Just kind of having fun with, you know, a game that is a good fighting game and it's not incredibly difficult. And sometimes I think simplicity is taken for granted. So yeah, this is one that you should definitely pick up, and it's not even too expensive, so don't get on me about the FOMO stuff. It's very reasonably priced. Next up is one of my personal favorites, and that is Starhawk. Yeah, if you're a PlayStation 3 owner, you probably are very familiar with Warhawk, which was a great multiplayer game. Such a shame that Sony doesn't really do those type of games anymore, but that was a fun game. I think one of the things that really kind of was understated was the fact that it didn't really have a campaign, and so, you know, it's just a multiplayer only game. That's where Starhawk comes into play. This is a full-on campaign. Of course, you can't play the multiplayer anymore, obviously, but it is a very fun campaign, third-person shooter. You know, some people might say it's a little bit generic, and maybe that's true, and some people might say it's a bit of a budget title. I didn't find it to be a budget title. I remember getting this game back when it originally released, sort of late in the PlayStation 3 life cycle, and I had a lot of fun with it. Now, is it revolutionizing things? No, probably not. But, you know, at the same time, I feel like they did do a lot of things right with it. And sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just, you know, put your own little spin on it. And I think that's what they do really well here. Just a fun little game to kind of pick up and play. Not terribly long, which isn't a bad thing. You know, sometimes games that stick around too long can really be a bit of a hamper situation. But not here. A lot of fun. Really enjoy it. And I highly recommend it. Next up, Heavenly Sword. Yes, I love this game. I think this is a fantastic game made by the people who actually made, you know, a lot of games like Devil May Cry, or actually DMC, as it were, Enslaved Odyssey to the West. They make a lot of games, you know, currently owned by Microsoft Ninja Theory, who also do the Hellblade franchise. But this is a hidden gem, and I put this on my video for best exclusives, and I got a little bit of flack for that. I guess some people didn't think that it was one of the better exclusives, so maybe it better suited being a hidden gem. I don't know. But this game, again, not one that's going to get a lot of FOMO for it. It's reasonably priced on pretty much every site, so you don't have to freak out about that. Just a fun hack and slash game. I think they nailed that aspect of the game, and you know, it's also fun to kind of just look at and play, and that's what's great about PlayStation 3 games and a lot of the exclusives. Now, not every game is exclusive on this list, but a lot of them are fun, and you got to have that fun factor, which I think is something the PS3 generation had a ton of. So absolutely highly recommend Heavenly Sword. Lord of the Rings Conquest, and yes, I can hear the groans already. I understand that this game is no longer online, but I feel like this game didn't get a fair shake either. When you look back at things and you kind of go, okay, well, you know, this team actually made the Battlefront 1 and 2 games back in the day. Lord of the Rings Conquest is a lot in that vein. So why is Battlefront 1 and 2 so revered while Lord of the Rings Conquest isn't really looked at in the same light? And it's really hard saying, because I thought they really nailed the combat aspect of what you would see in Lord of the Rings. So yeah, you can only play like the campaign, but I still find this to be a fun game to play and a bit of a hidden gem, because you don't see anybody really talking about it. So I really doubt that this is on too many people's hidden gems list. And you know, the characters are there, the battles are there, the kind of scope is there. Of course, you know, like I said, there's no more multiplayer, but that doesn't mean there's not stuff you can't do in the game, and I think that stuff well warrants it. So yeah, Lord of the Rings Conquest, definitely a hidden gem, a game that I think a lot of people should pick up if they come across it. And I don't think it's too costly either, so yeah, keep that in mind as well. None of these games should be that expensive, all pretty reasonable in my opinion, but even in 2024, Lord of the Rings Conquest holds up. Telltale Games Back to the Future. Yes, I know this is an exclusive, and it might be a little bit on the pricey side right now to get a physical copy of this game, but it's so well done, and it actually has some of the voice cast from the Back to the Future games, including the guy who plays Doc Brown. And even though Michael J. Fox obviously doesn't do the voice of Marty, the guy who does his voice is spot on. Sounds just like him. And I do believe Michael J. Fox does play a character in this game, but it is not Marty. So yeah, awesome game. Really nails the Back to the Future vibe in that Telltale way. And I think that this is just one of those games that is fun to kind of break out and play and have a good time with. Obviously, it changes based on what you actually pick and the choices that you make, which is, you know, pretty usual for Telltale games. And you know, I feel like these games don't really get enough love these days, but it's just a fantastic game in my opinion, and really well done. And if you're a fan of Back to the Future, then why wouldn't you want you know, play one of these games? This is probably the better one. I know some of you might be familiar with the NES game. That game sucks compared to this, so absolutely give it a try and, you know, see what's up, see if you enjoy it. It's a lot of fun in my opinion. Ni no Kuni. Yes, this is a JRPG, and I believe this was a game that was kind of exclusive at the time to PlayStation 3. I think they've remade it since then. It's on Xbox, it's on PlayStation, it's on maybe even on Switch. But yeah, it's a fun little game, and not only that, but the reason why I picked it was because I picked up a copy of this game incredibly cheap, right? So I picked it up, I think, for about $5, and I was like, hey, you know what, I'll try it for $5. And you know, I was playing it and I was like, this is actually a lot of fun. And what's interesting is I love games that really hold up in how they look and how they play even with age. So the good examples of that would be like Zelda Wind Waker. At the time on the GameCube, people kind of knocked it for looking kiddie or whatever, but that kind of game style, that cel-shaded game style, really holds up even today. And same thing with Ni no Kuni. I feel like it really held up well. It's got a lot of classic JRPG vibes, a very good story, fun addictive gameplay, really easy to kind of pick up and play as well. So if you can come across this game, absolutely recommended. Give it a try. MotorStorm Pacific Rift. Now, this is one that I only picked up recently, and it was relatively cheap. I think I got it for like $10. But I have to be honest, I love this game. I started playing it, and I couldn't stop. I wasn't very good at it, to say the least, right away. But honestly, this game reminds me a lot of Forza Horizon in the arcadey fun that you can have with it. And it baffles me why Sony hasn't taken advantage of this IP. I know that the studio is no longer there, but maybe get a racing studio that can do a game similar to this the chance to do it. I honestly think this is a hidden gem all the way. Now, the original MotorStorm that was, I think I did one of those in my other videos. This one specifically, Pacific Drift, I was just having so much fun. I got lost playing it for hours. And, you know, even though I didn't win a whole lot, it's just I was having such a good time. And it looks great. When you look at the game, it still looks and handles absolutely fantastic. And it's just one of those games that's a lot of fun to play. Obviously, you can't play online anymore, but, you know, the single-player stuff is there. And, you know, it is just one of those games that's fun, fun, fun. So if you can come across it, give it a try. Pacific Rift MotoStorm. Yeah, that's the one. Really a lot of fun. Ratchet and Clank All for One. Now, I know there's a lot of Ratchet and Clank games on the PlayStation 3. Trust me when I say that, I absolutely understand that and know that that's a thing. I felt like it made it difficult to follow along with, you know, the new games and things like that. People don't want to pick up a game, you know, at the third part in a, you know, a saga or something like that. So I do like that they freshly rebooted the franchise with the newer versions. But obviously, even back on the PS3, they had a fantastic Ratchet and Clank game in All for One. Actually, it's ended up being one of my favorites, and this is one of those ones that is also not expensive to pick up. Some of the Ratchet and Clank games on PS3 are a little bit more expensive. This one, not so much. I thought it was a very reasonably priced. I think it was like $15 or under, something like that. So not a bad deal, and I don't think this is one of those ones that people are going to get FOMO over. But if you do get a chance to come across this one, I highly recommend it because it's one of the ones that's basically one of the easier ones to get into. It has a good story and just is a lot of fun to kind of play. And if you're a Ratchet and Clank fan and haven't played it yet, 100% pick this game up. Jurassic Park by Telltale Games. Yes, they've made my list twice. And I have to say, I'm not sorry about it. I know that some people don't look at these as, you know, amazing video games as a whole. You know, the gameplay factor isn't as good as a lot of games. But this is a hidden gems list. And so I feel like this is a hidden gem, though not exclusive. Obviously, this game is on PlayStation as well, or excuse me, Xbox as well. I just find it to be a fun game with a great, engaging story. And if you've played any of the Telltale games, you'll kind of know the style that it is. Very much just like the Back to the Future game. It's a lot of, okay, QTEs and things like that. But the different things that can happen, the outcomes, the fun story, the engaging story that this one actually puts out there is one of the best that Telltale Games has done. And so it's a game that I hardly ever see anybody talk about, but it's one of the ones that I find myself going back and playing, you know, every once in a while. So that to me says that it is definitely hidden gem material, and you can't really go wrong with Jurassic Park. So let me know down below if you guys are a fan of this game or not. I have never really seen anybody talk about it, so I think that it could surprise you. So check it out. Mod Nation Racers. Yeah, this is a definite hidden gem for me. It plays a little bit like, you know, Mario Kart, obviously. And I think at the particular time, kart racing was huge. I think Nintendo has always had success with Mario Kart. Actually, Sony did a couple of kart games, and it was even rumored that Microsoft at one point on the Xbox 360 had Rare working on a kart game for the Xbox 360 with, you know, Rare characters and stuff like that. It got scrapped eventually, but it's funny because on PS3 you had Mod Nation Racers, but you also had Little Big Planet Karting, which is an equally as fun game. I actually like this game a lot because I feel like it has a really fun, a deeper story and customization and stuff like that than Little Big Planet Karting. So I never see anybody talk about this one. I've heard people mention Little Big Planet Kart before. I don't really hear people talk about Mod Nation Racers, so I wanted to put it on this list and, you know, show everybody some my love for the game. As you can see, it is a blast to play. Obviously, the multiplayer is no longer there, which is the case for most games going back, you know, over a decade. So you shouldn't be too surprised. But yeah, there it is. And, you know, there's 10 games on the PlayStation 3 that I highly recommend that are absolutely hidden gems, and I would love to add more, but I have to keep these videos to a certain kind of length. And I just want to say I appreciate each and every one of you. I hear your criticisms on some of my videos, but if you do have a critique, please feel free to leave it in a nice way. You know, the internet is a rough place. You know, obviously I'm doing this for the love of video games, and so, you know, just constantly getting criticized doesn't make me want to do videos. but seeing that you guys genuinely enjoy the videos and give me good ideas and things, that I love it. So please keep that up, and subscribe, like the videos if you enjoy them, and I'll catch you next time, and just have a good time gaming, and just remember that we all have opinions and they can all be different, and we can just disagree with each other and still be cool with each other. It's such a random but awesome concept. I hope you guys all have a great one. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.